My father was in World War II. He was one of the first drafted. They only had 3 weeks basic training of the 6 they were supposed to get. Somebody with brass on their shoulders came in and said, "We can't wait, ship this 5,000 out. Put them on the rails in the morning, run them up to New York City, and then out on a gray ghost ship and head them for Morocco all by themselves, zigzagging every 7 minutes, trying to keep a German sub from putting a torpedo in them." You bet. And if they'd have got hit, there'd have been no help coming. You bet. Very scary time, to say the least. My father had a lot of sad and bad stories. I've talked about a few of them on YouTube. But one of the things he talked about that a lot of people didn't get or overlooked, he talked about when they were driving trucks, gasoline trucks or ammo trucks, up to the tanks even before Patton showed up. He said that the convoy would have a half-track with a twin 50 in it, and there'd usually be a Jeep or two with machine guns on them, 30 caliber machine guns. And he said the German planes, he said almost every convoy that they sent out got scraped by German fighters or German fighter bombers. And he said in all the time that he was in Africa, he said, "I never once saw a German plane shot down." And he said it wasn't just those machine guns. He said when the planes had come in and scrape them, he said we couldn't stop the trucks. But what we did, we kept going. But he said it was nothing to hang out the window, the door of the truck and shoot at the planes with your rifle or your handgun. He said after the first battle, he carried a German Luger, and he said he would shoot at the planes. He said just put fire up at them. Just let them know that we're not happy with them, type thing. But he said they never once hit a German plane and shot it down in his sight. He said, "Oh, I saw them smoking." He said they might have mechanical troubles or we hit them. But they kept on going beyond the ridge. He said we didn't see them. Now, he said, of course, when we was driving around, we would see German planes that had already been shot down on the ground. They were dead on the ground. But he said we never saw one shot down in his presence. He said there's got to be a better way. Fast forward to the Korean War, and I know a gentleman that he had been drafted at that time period. Now, they didn't ship him to Korea, though. They shipped him to the Southwest and some testing grounds for different things. And a lot of the nukes were being set off about that time, too. Anyway, the gentleman said he was part of an armory there, and as a private, they didn't give him much authority to do much. At the same time, he had been an amateur gunsmith. He had been, from childhood on, he knew guns. And one of his buddies there in the same department also knew guns quite well. And they became friends very quickly, and they then got the wild hair, let's build a Gattling gun. Just for the heck of it. Out in the middle of the desert, not much else to do. Let's do something foolish. They built a working Gattling gun. A 6-barrel, I believe, Gattling gun. And with the old hand crank, well, the old Gattling gun that they created, they took it out to the gun range. They bought their own ammunition. They made it in 30 caliber carbine ammunition, so it would feed up and down well in the clip, and worked well, and they give them something to play with on weekends or when they were off duty. Well, one of the boys, he went back to Missouri for leave, and when he came back, he brought some moonshine. Okay, and so they were pretty inebriated one weekend and shooting that Gattling gun, and they were seeing who could shoot it the fastest, and one of them then finally got the wild hair. Let's put a motor to that dumb thing. I bet that'd really shoot fast then. And so that's what they did. Next week they put on and perfected, if you will, a little electric motor to that Gattling gun. They had to adjust it some, to say the least, but they did. And did a few dry tests that seemed to work, and so they loaded it up. The next weekend, took it out to the gun range, and you could not tell from shot to shot, it was just a blur of noise and just a roar, if you will. And he said that was fun. Well, a colonel come by, happened to, and he chewed them out and found out that they hadn't stolen the stuff or dinking around, and said, I don't want you doing this anymore, rah, 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 and really ripped them big time. And when somebody with more stuff up here chews you out, you better listen. So they dropped the idea. But he said it wasn't within a year down there that all of a sudden, he said they was out one day and he said they saw some drones flying overhead and going over by the mountain. And he said seeing drones was the norm, unmanned airplanes. And he said all of a sudden there was a roar, and he said that roar almost sounded familiar. And he said you could see then out in the distance them planes were they were being shot up, and down both drones came and crashed, and they could see that in the far distance. Now they don't know what exactly was going on by any means, but he said it sure sounded familiar. And he said he always wondered if they were already testing that type of theory and that type of weapon, or did they take it from those three drunk army, men? They take their idea and run with it. All I know is by the time Vietnam came around, the minigun was a staple. And there'd have been a lot more people getting killed, a lot more helicopters being shot down if it wasn't for the minigun. And it's still very important today. But did three drunks on their off-duty time create something that made a difference, a new difference on the battlefield? Rate this film.